Okay, so today we are going to talk about a kind of a hot button topic, I frankly, something that we hear from students and something that we hear out in the world too. And that topic is, why do some copywriters fail? Part one of this, we have the people that you meet at cocktail parties, or people you meet out and about, or when you talk to people and you say, oh, I'm a copywriter. And they say, ooh, copywriting. Ooh, that's so hard to get into. Or, ooh, I tried to do that myself and I couldn't make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that part of the concept of failure. And what have we seen has been a big contributor to that quote unquote failure there.
Yeah, a lot of these folks, I think, number one, never got the training that they needed to become a copywriter. And I think part of that is because maybe they just felt like I'm going to apply for jobs and break in and they'll teach me on the job. It's very hard to land a copywriting job when you don't actually know how to write copy yet. So I think that's a bit of the catch.
Yeah, which makes sense, right? Like
Right.
it would
Yeah.
be very hard for me to land a chef job if I didn't know
Right.
how to cook.
And I think in other fields, to use the kitchen restaurant analogy, maybe you can get in as a dishwasher and then you become, a prep and a line cook, and then you work your way up. In copywriting, there's no real, step before a copywriter. You need to have some knowledge of how to write copy before going and doing it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some people who just think, all right, well, I write well and I know how to write things. I've written blog
Mm-hmm.
posts, I've written whatever. I'm going to, and they hear great things about copywriting. And they think, okay, I'm going to get into copywriting. I'm going to put up a website and
Mm-hmm.
call myself a copywriter. And as our listeners know, and as you, Kate, personally know, because you transitioned from a different
Yeah,
type of writing,
I did.
copywriting
Yeah.
is totally different from any other kind of writing. People expect to hire copywriters who know how to write copy. And I definitely, I feel for people and I don't blame people. And I respect the idea of like, okay, I'm going to start a new career. I'm going to jump right in. I really, really respect that impulse. But really it's totally different career from any other and from any other kind of writing. Yeah. Well, then, by that same token, or I don't know, a similar token, if you are just jumping in and saying, okay, I'm going to be a copywriter, and you don't have a plan, a system for how to find and pitch and land and service clients and repitch clients, it's not going to work. Wishing and hoping is not a strategy. And I think that is a lot of people's hope. And I think that when you don't have a system for finding and pitching and landing and all that kind of thing, it ends up to being just jumping off a cliff and there not being a net there, because you're hoping that because you mentioned that you're a copywriter, someone's going to find you, or you're hoping that that you'll be able to find enough work on sites like Upwork or Freelancer, or where you have to undercut your normal rate, and you're constantly wasting time bidding on projects that aren't going to work out, and there's no quality control for clients on there either. That's a whole other topic, whole other podcast. But without a system, you can't. It's just wishing and hoping.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So you have the people who don't really know how to write copy, don't really know how
Mm-hmm.
to find the work.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have other people who have been trained, who have been
Mm-hmm.
practiced, who have the system. What we hear sometimes from students in the group is, oh, I'm afraid to tell my friends, I'm afraid to tell my family, I'm afraid to announce it on Facebook, or I'm afraid to announce my new career on LinkedIn or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm afraid I'll fail.
Mm-hmm.
And that concept of failure, once you've done the training and you are practicing and you're doing the work, that concept of failure is a little bit erroneous in a way.
Yeah, I think if you let the thought of failure creep in and let it become a roadblock, which I think for a lot of people it does, they stop making progress because they get to a point where they need to either start pitching and maybe need to update their LinkedIn profile, and they need to put out their website, and they need to start telling the world that this is what they're doing, they don't. And then it becomes you're shutting a door at that point, and you're arbitrarily building a wall or roadblock or whatever you want to call it, getting in the way of your own progress. And so the second you stop taking action, that's when there's the potential to quote unquote fail. But in a way, I feel like fail is not even the right word there. It's just, you're stopping at that point. You're pausing, you're putting yourself on pause when you do have a choice to keep moving forward and keep taking the steps. And as long as you're still taking steps and learning from whatever is happening and getting more experience, getting more information to make smarter choices, then you're moving forward. You're moving in it, might not be in a straight line. Nothing really is, if you really think about it.
The concept of failure, once you are on the path, it's not really so much failure as much as quitting. And that is 100% on you. We talk a lot about taking personal responsibility. And if you we talk a lot about resistance too. If you let the resistance creep up and you let the resistance keep you from taking action, you let the resistance keep you from pitching clients, you let the resistance keep you from maybe evaluating your pitch emails. If you sent out some and you haven't gotten anything back, if you let resistance, if you let fear, if you let any of that keep you from taking action, you are effectively quitting. And that is the only way that you can fail. Because if you stick with it, I think that's one of the most underrated or maybe like hidden concepts, unknown concept, is that the best way to succeed is to stick with it. Pick whatever you want to do and keep going until you get there. It sounds so simplistic, but it's so true for just about everything. The only way to quote unquote fail, which again, I keep saying quote unquote, because it's not really even failure. It's quitting. It's you deciding that you're going to let fear, you're going to let resistance, you're going to let self-doubt, you're going to let that get in the way of you reaching your goals, get between you and what you want. And so it's not, when we hear students talk about, well, I'm afraid of failure, I don't want to tell people because I'm afraid of failure. What you're really saying is, I don't want to tell people because I'm afraid that I'm going to decide to quit. And if you are already thinking that you might quit, you've got a big problem. And you need to really think that through and think about why that's already an option for you. We talk about your big why. Why is it that it's so important to you to succeed in this career? Is it financial? Do you want to make a certain amount of money? Do you want to have a career where you feel fulfilled and motivated and respected and appreciated? Do you want to have a career that allows for flexibility, that allows you to travel, or it allows you to spend more time with your family, or whatever, or any of those combinations? But if it matters enough to you, it makes it a lot easier. And if you focus on that big why, it makes it a lot easier when that resistance comes up for you to say, okay, this is resistance coming up, but I can move past it. And resistance will keep coming up, but I can move past it. There's no such thing as failure. There's only quitting.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you don't miss any tips, tools, or tactics for copywriters by clicking subscribe right now. And of course, you can always find us over at filthyricwriter.com. We'll see you next time.